Doug Faith with Legacy Capital.
Jeff Greco, also with Legacy Capital.
And today we're going to be talking about cash flow management. And in the prior video, when we were talking about financial rituals, we were taught the final one was the importance of cash flow allocation, and that's really where free cash flow comes into play. And common misconceptions of business owners is they usually focus heavily on the profit loss, and just because you make profit doesn't mean you actually have the cash to spend, because whatever that net income number is, and again, hopefully it is a positive number, that net income number, there's some things that come out of that, such as debt pay down, right? So as a real estate investor, and if you have a rental portfolio, you're paying interest every month, which does get reflected in your profit loss statement, but then you're also paying a little bit towards the principal. And so that amount comes down here for paying down the debt that you've got to pay down.
And paying down the debt, again, if we're talking about some of our clients who have a rental portfolio, or some of our clients who have fix and flip, so paying down the debt if you're using short-term debt, when you sell a property, typically you're paying off debt, or certainly if you have a longer-term loan, typically you're paying it off as you go with a portion of each of the rental payments that you collect.
That's a great point. And to that point, look, sometimes the debt you're paying down here is required. So in other words, when you sell the property, you're going to have to pay that off. But sometimes after you do what's required, you have the option to what you want to do with the free cash flow. So maybe there's additional debt that you want to pay down. Another bucket that you can fill or do with your free cash flow is to build reserves through retained earnings and sort of keep that in the kitty for a rainy day or unexpected expenses or capital.
Yeah, and each business is a little bit different, right? And when we talk about debt or cash flow, sometimes there's general business debt, and then also in our business, there's specific debt on a specific property. At the end of the day, depending on what scale your business is operating at now, and really what level you want to play at or grow to be able, your business will determine on what level reserves you want to have. So, sometimes people say if I have a few months of reserves, I feel good. Some people, I think it was Bill Gates who said when he was building Microsoft, he wanted 12 months of reserves when he was building. So the reserves is, look, it's going to rain, or in today's case, it's going to snow. But at the end of the day, reserves are for when those unforeseen things happen. As business owners, we may not know when, but if you were in business long enough, some things that you don't plan or don't expect are going to happen. So the question is, how do you have a safety bucket, or how do you have a strong enough foundation so that those things don't put you out of business, although they may be a temporary setback, or given market conditions, if you have reserves or if you have enough saved up, actually if the market takes a turn for the quote-unquote worse, are some of the best buying opportunities. So really what we're alluding to in this video is not only how you distribute your free cash flow, but actually how you tie this into having a strong business, no matter what the external market conditions are or what specifically may be happening in your business.
And the other option with that free cash flow is you can invest that. And with the clients that we work with, these are growth-minded clients. They're scaling their business, so their focus is on growing and investing those dollars to build a bigger business. And so oftentimes there's sort of this, rub, so to speak, between you want to have the reserves so that you've got that foundation, and sort of balancing the reserves as well as with the desire to grow and invest those dollars. And both are super important for your business. And as Jeff said, though, you certainly want to make sure that you have those reserves taken care of, because you've got that strong foundation. And the stronger the foundation, the actually easier it is to invest and grow and scale rapidly once you've built that strong foundation, which includes having the necessary reserves.
And sometimes people like to skip to the invest step with stepping over the reserve step. And we can speak from personal experiences of times where it's always great to invest, as you're building wealth and that everything's going to create a lot of money at some point in the future. And what we found is that through experience and through some lessons that maybe we didn't want to learn at the time, actually having reserves and maybe taking a little longer to invest. But as long as you have your reserves, you can actually ramp up your investment activities a lot quicker if you do build the reserves first and fill that bucket, and then you can essentially be unlimited with how much you can invest rather than thinking or staying up at night, what if something changes? Am I going to be able to handle it?
And for whatever reason, in my personal experience with my rental portfolio, when I first started, I didn't have these reserves. And when I didn't have these reserves, it seemed like I needed it all the time. There was always an issue and something going on. And since I've actually built the reserves, not only can I sleep better at night, there's confidence, there's a strong foundation, but now that I have the reserves, it seems that I rarely need to use them. So it's important to have that. And as Jeff said, sometimes people want to skip over the reserves to get straight to invest. And then the other thing that we found, and this is usually more, again, going back to the 4 stages of a business owner, it's usually that first stage of a real estate business owner. They skip this one, and they go right to this one, to distribute, where they're looking to essentially distribute income or distribute those surpluses directly to themselves right away, because maybe they need it to live off of, they're trying to move away from their job, whatever the case may be. And look, as business owners, let's be honest, we're all in this business because we want that distribution to be as big as possible, and there's also a time and a place for when that distribution really becomes appropriate. And the point that Jeff is making is, if you're able to, the longer you're able to defer making that distribution, provided that you're building the reserves and you're investing well, this distribution should be significantly larger the more you're able to defer it, as opposed to if you paid it out immediately from day one.
Right. So just hold off on telling your friends around the happy hour table how much money you're distributing from your business to start. Build up your reserves, invest, and next year when you come around, you'll be able to tell them you're distributing a multiple of what you thought you'd be able to.
Exactly. And look, that's Warren Buffett, right? The greatest investor in the world. That's exactly what he's done and what he does, right? He continues to, he's got the reserves, right? He's always sitting on a pile of cash. And then he's an amazing investor and cash flow allocator. He keeps investing rather than distribute, investing, creating more wealth and creating more piles to distribute when he wants to.
So make money, allocate your cash wisely.